Are you tired of setting New Year's fitness goals and them never sticking? How about we do it differently this year? In this video, I am gonna show you how you can set goals that not only inspire you, but actually work for you. Now, my name is Coach Dave. Yeah, that's what my friends, family, and clients call me. I help men and women over 40 transform their minds, bodies, and souls. I've been doing it now for over 2 decades. I'm gonna tell you today that we're gonna set some goals for you coming up. Doesn't matter when you're watching this video. Again, when I'm shooting it, it's almost the new year. But you can do this at any time and reset and set those goals that actually work for you. So let's dive in. Now, I like to use acronyms, and I want you to think of this acronym. It's called DUB, D-U-B. All right, it's gonna start with define, it's gonna understand, and it's gonna be build. So let's talk about the first one. Define your vision. It's clarity. We have to get clear on what it is we want to achieve. The other thing I want to talk about is we have a tendency to think in the past. I recently heard a quote that I really like, and I want to share it with you. It says, make your dreams bigger than your memories. Pastor David Jeremiah said that. And think about this. A lot of times, especially when it comes to us at an older age, we're thinking about, gosh, when I was in my 20s and my 30s, even maybe sometimes in our 40s, we're like, oh, I was so much, leaner and I looked better. We get so caught up on that as opposed to dreaming about what is possible for us in the future. So you have to get clear on your goals. And let me talk about another thing that I hear all the time is when I ask a client, I say, what is your number one goal, or what is your fitness goal that you want to achieve? And a lot of times they say, well, I want to be healthy. And listen, I'm going to tell you right now that your health should be your number one goal, because without it, what else is left? But that's too generic. Does it really inspire you when you say, well, I want to be healthy? You've got to define, what is health? Maybe health for you is to actually be able to be functioning and have a quality of life into your 60s, 70s, 80s, and who knows, even into your 90s, and you're playing with great grandkids. Maybe that's the vision, that you're actually outside walking when you have grandkids and great grandkids. That's a bigger and more defining goal than just I want to be healthy. But let's get a little bit more specific. And I know that a lot of people are always like, well, I want to lose 10 pounds by spring break, or I want to lose, 15, 20 pounds by the summer so I look good in a bathing suit. And I have no problems with that specific type of goal. However, I have evolved because we're not always in control of that specific type of goal. Let me kind of talk about that real quick. When you say I want to lose 10 pounds by March, what are you exactly talking about? Are you talking about 10 pounds on the scale? Or are you talking about, hey, I want to lose 10 pounds of belly fat? Because when you just have the scale to be the measurable factor, you don't know if you're losing water, you don't know if you're losing muscle, you don't know if you're losing belly fat. So you've got to kind of get a little bit more specific. And that's where I like to talk more about behavioral-based goals. So for example, let's look at the goal of losing 10 pounds by the end of March. Let's kind of define it. Let's say we want to do 70 workouts by the end of March. And when I say workouts, that could mean 3 times a week lifting weights, maybe 2 to 3 times a week movement with, cardio or however else you want to get your movement in cardiovascular wise. But get more specific on what you can control, the behavioral side. Now, the second part to that is start with something small. Again, we talk about if you've never worked out, or if you haven't worked out in the last 6 months or year and you want to get 70 workouts in the next 90 days, maybe that's too much. Maybe it's, hey, I want to at least get moving and get 5 to 7 to 10,000 steps every day for the next 90 days. Or maybe even something smaller. Maybe you just want to start with hydration. I want to at least drink, half my body weight in ounces of water a day. And it could even be the sleep factor. I want to get 6 to 7 hours of sleep. Those things are actually going to have a big impact. They're small, but then we can stack on top of those. Okay, so you want to start small, and then you can stack on top of that. So we talked about specific, talking about starting small, and then we also want to talk about visualizing. Again, going back to defining the vision, you need to see what it is you want to be in the next 90 days. See it and then feel it. Put emotion to it, because emotion and feelings is going to create actions. Actions then create results. So when we look at defining our vision, getting clear, we're talking about being specific. We're talking about doing something small and then visualizing. Those 3 subcategories in defining your vision. Now, the second one is going to understand your why. There's a great book, if you have not read it, by Simon Sinek called Know Your Why. And this one, more than anything, has helped hundreds of clients I've worked with. Because when you are not only clear about what you want, but also understanding why you want it, you're going to be more likely to continue when things get tough. Because let me tell you, things are going to throw you off. That's what life is. And so when you know your why, when you fall, you stumble, you just get back up because you have a clear and understanding of why you're doing it. And when we talk about knowing your why, it has to be bigger than just something for you. You have to you kind of have to mix your values to ultimately the reason why you're doing it. And one thing that I remember more than anything is I had a client and she wanted her husband to come work out. He had never really worked out. He was more kind of a textbook guy, smart dude. But he didn't work out. And so, yeah, we were starting from ground zero. But I asked him, I said, why do you want to work out? And ultimately, he told me because he wanted to be active with his kids. I think what had happened was he was a kid, his dad wasn't able to work out with him or be active with him. And he didn't want to be the same way. He wanted to be active when his kids were out there, throwing the ball or kicking the soccer ball. And so he did it more for his kids than he did it for himself. So he had a bigger sense of purpose and reason than just, hey, I want to look good or I want to feel good. It was more like, hey, I want to be with my kids and I want to be active with them so that they have a father who's doing something with them. So again, understand your why. Now the third thing is going to be build out your plan. You have to have a plan in place. And I've got a couple things I want to share with you. First of all, every year around this time period, this was last year's plan. I've already started my 2025 plan. So the annual strategic plan is what it's called, and it's really bigger than just fitness. And I'm going to probably shoot a video on that as well coming up here shortly. But I want to talk to you about putting it down in paper so that you can go back and continually look at what it is that you want to do. So it's almost like you're reverse engineering. So again, if we're just looking at 90 days, and I'm going to give a bonus here. The reason why I always talk in 90 days It's this book right here by Brian Moran, The 12-Week Year. It's another thing that I've evolved with, because I used to say, hey, I want to weigh, let's say 200 pounds by the end of December 31st. Let's say it's 2025 now. I no longer look at it that way. I look at it in 12-week or 90 days. It puts a little bit more scarcity into the fact, and it also doesn't make it seem too far, but enough time for me also to get things done. So again, I just wanted to kind of point that out. 12 weeks when you're setting your plan. So then you can reverse engineer it. So let's go back to the situation or the example I gave you of 70 workouts in 90 days. So now you can plan out your calendar in 90 days, and you can sit there and say, okay, well, from January 1st to March 31st, what is on my calendar that is going to cause me maybe a situation where I'm not going to be able to get my workout in, or I'm not going to be able to get my steps in, or whatever your behavioral based goals are. And then you can kind of plan it from there. So okay, listen, I'm going to give myself a week of spring break where I'm going on a trip with my family, and I'm not going to ultimately have a chance to really get my workouts in. I may get my steps in, but if I also have, that workout base behavioral goal, I may not get it. So again, the plan is to reverse engineer in a 12-week or 90-day time frame. Again, you can go farther. You can look at 6 months, especially if you have, an event coming up like a wedding, or, maybe you're going on a summer trip and you want to be in shape. You want to look good. Nothing wrong with that. I'm all for that, because when you look good and feel good, you keep that momentum going. All right. So those are the 3 critical things to do in order for you to actually get your New Year's fitness goals to stick and to work for you. But I also want you to think bigger. I want you to get a goal this year that's going to inspire you. For me, last year, it was to run a 10K. And for me, that was a big goal, because the farthest I'd ever run was a 5K. So I doubled it, right? Think of something. Maybe it's to go on a hike, climb a mountain, or I don't know, maybe it is to do a triathlon, or maybe just walk for, 3 hours straight. Again, get something that's going to challenge you. Get something that's also going to inspire you, that's going to keep you moving every day to achieve that goal. Now, I hope that you found this helpful. And during this time period, here's a bonus tip for you. I came outside, probably not necessarily the best setup to do a video, just because before I went live, or actually the first time I went live on this video, the garbage truck came up. You can probably hear cars in the background. But the reason why I went outside, it's beautiful out right now. It's about 60 degrees. And it helps change you thinking no longer in the frontal cortex, but more in the limbic brain, where you can get creative. You can smell and hear and just relax. So that's the whole point of what I'm talking about here at this bonus one, is get outside and just start dreaming. Just start thinking about, what is it you want to do? Do something great this year that inspires you. Now, I also have something else for you. In January, and again, it's probably going to be something that you can join later on as well, but I've got a 14-day affirmations challenge that I'm going to be putting out. And if you've never done affirmations, I'm telling you, this is a game changer. It's something I've been doing. So I want you to stay tuned. There should be a link down in the description on how to join it. And I'm here to help you. So if this did help you, I'd love for you to like it. I'd love for you to share it with somebody that needs to hear it, okay? Because I'm here on a mission to change as many lives as possible. All right, so now let's go out and let's make it happen. Let's make this year your best year. Coach Dave, signing off.